Hi, I'm Marie Elcin from Fleisher Art Memorial. I've been thinking about performances, like dances and musical performances and theater and parades. Have you ever put on a performance? You could put one on yourself, but it does take some planning. A good performance needs a plan, it needs characters, a storyline, and maybe even a theater. Let's take a look at this artwork by Spiral Q, which is an organization here in Philadelphia. Where is this happening? What is this thing? What is it doing? I see some clues. I see Walnut Street in the background, so it must be somewhere in Center City, Philadelphia. And this looks gigantic. It looks kind of like a person. Really a giant puppet. Spiral Q makes giant puppets for community parades and protests. Puppets have been used around the world throughout history to help people tell stories. Sometimes these stories are happy and funny, sometimes they're sad or even painful, but it can be easier to tell a story if you use a puppet to tell it. This puppet was part of a parade, and it tells a story of being happy living here in the city. It's a character, and it has details like clothing and a facial expression to help us see its happiness. So one part of a performance we need is a character. Take a look at Derek Jones' Sun Damage. Does it remind you of anything? Why do you think this picture is broken up into 3 rectangles? This picture reminds me of a comic book showing a sequence of events. Here, the sun is setting, going, going, gone. There are no people or animals in this image, so it also reminds me of a backdrop or setting, a place for an action to take place. And it also shows me that sequence, the beginning, the middle, and the end. Let's think about what we could make a performance about. Good artists plan out what they are doing. So we could use a storyboard to help us plan. A storyboard is sort of like a comic book. It has rectangles with scenes that lay out the beginning, the middle, and the end of a story. It's usually used by cartoonists and filmmakers to plan out a performance they'll make. In a storyboard, you need to show 3 important things: the characters, the setting, and the actions. There's space to draw a picture, and there's space underneath to describe what's happening. Let's brainstorm a little bit before we start drawing. What kind of story do you want to tell? I like to think about what is familiar to me, like things that happen in my family or with my friends. Who will the characters in your story be? You're going to need at least 2 to help tell a story, but you can have more. Where will the events take place? What is the setting? Will it be inside or outside, at school, at the park, in outer space? And what will happen at the beginning, the middle, and the end of your story? Planning this out will help you think about what characters you need to make, what to draw for your background, and then how to make your performance, how to tell your story. If you're stuck for ideas, you might want to think about things like telling a funny story or having 2 characters have a conversation or ask each other questions. Or you could think about something that happens every day. What's a day in the life of one of your characters? I think I have an idea of something that's happened in my family. We got a cat recently. I'm going to make a storyboard to show the characters and the setting and the events that happened when we got our cat. You can either start by sketching things out with a pencil, or if you know what you're doing, you could work right with a marker. I'm going to draw with a marker so you can see what I'm doing, but if I make a mistake, it's there forever. So you might want to start with a pencil. The first thing you need to do is draw out boxes on a piece of paper. We need to show our beginning, our middle, and our end. And I'm going to draw 3 boxes. Then I want you to think about who are the characters in your story going to be. In mine, they're going to be Baba. That's what we call the daddy in my family. And Sia. That's the name of the cat. And then think about, what is the setting? It's going to be my kitchen and living room. By writing these ideas down, it helps me think a little bit about what pictures I need to make for the beginning and the end and the middle of my story. When I'm drawing, I like to draw the foreground first. So what's happening with the characters? So I need Baba and Sia. At the beginning of my story, Sia was just a stray cat. So I think I'll draw him small and Baba big at the back door. So here I have my 2 characters, and they're in my kitchen at the back door, so I drew the back door. And at the beginning of our story, Baba would just feed the cat and then say, "I'll feed you, but you have to stay outside." If you'd like, you could give your characters speech bubbles. Now I'm going to think about the middle of my story. In the middle of the story, Baba was feeling sorry for the poor, cold, hungry cat outside. So maybe I'll draw the main character up close and the cat in the background outside through the window. To draw your details, think about what facial expressions might help tell the story. Are there any extra details? Like, I made it look like it was snowing outside to show that the cat was cold, and I added a little broken heart and a question mark to show that Baba was feeling sad and wondering about the poor cold cat. Okay, at the end of my story, Baba decides to bring the cat in, and now they've become best friends. So I'm going to draw the cat. Happy. That can be tricky. As you draw each of your panels, how do you make your characters look the same in each one so we know who they are? And don't forget your setting. I'm going to draw them sitting in the chair in the living room. Again, think about what clues will help you tell your story. Is it the setting that will help you tell it? Is it a change in an expression or a detail that will help you tell beginning, middle, and end? Once you're done, you can color everything in, or you could also use the space under each of your boxes to give some notes or help tell the story. You could also think about dialogue. What is going to be said in each of the parts? If you'd like, you can color everything in. Now that I have my storyboard, I'm ready to do my performance. Am I? No, I have to make my characters first and a backdrop for them to be behind. We're going to do a puppet show. So this is going to help me make my puppets and make my theater and my performance. So how did it turn out? What is your story all about? Who are your characters? What is your setting? How could you turn your storyboard into a puppet show? Are there any extra details that would be helpful? I hope your storyboard turned out okay and you're ready to start the next step of your puppet show. See you later.